The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. And a happy Mother's Day to another, your host, Mike Ezelina. And I'm joined by a guy who I'm going to actually see in a week. I'm pretty stoked about it. Regz. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. How are you? Very excited also to see you and the good buddy Banksy.
Yep.
It's always a good time. And look, to just have golf thrown into it is the biggest plus in the world. You know, spending time with you guys is good enough, but
we are two-time defending champions of this thing. So, you know, not a lot of room for error, Regz.
You know, I feel like at least Fairbanks, the best golfer in the group, thrives on the pressure. I'm not sure about me in that situation, but we know at least he's going to show up and carry us as he usually does.
It'll be a good time. We'll enjoy it no matter what. And there's going to be a lot of sports to talk about on Sunday. A lot of stuff happened this week and is going to happen in the coming week that, you know, will have our attention. There's a good chance that we'll be listening to the Phillies game with Paul Skeens pitching while we're out on the course.
Are we finally getting him?
He's pitching tomorrow against the Mets. So I'm assuming we get him this weekend. They have a day off on Thursday, right? So my guess is it's either going to be Saturday or Sunday.
Well, wouldn't that be a treat there for us to listen?
I'm going to be there Friday and Saturday. I want to see him.
Well, yeah, sure. Selfishly, I'd love to be the one to listen. You know, I'm not obviously we're not seeing him this weekend, but yeah, it would be nice to see him in person. That'd be a lot of fun.
Well, and I mean, I don't know how the Phillies are going to do stuff this coming week, but my guess is with Wheeler pitching tonight, if they just go normal with the day off, he'll pitch Saturday. So that'd be pretty sick to see Skeens and Wheeler.
Yes, it would be.
But if they go on like his normal day with the day off, then he would pitch Friday, which would be his bobblehead night. I don't know. I mean, it feels like that's the ideal scenario on his bobblehead night to put him out there, but
I feel like somebody from the league is calling the Phillies and the Pirates to be like, "Can you just set up Wheeler Skeens, please, so we can tweet the hell out of it and maybe like put it on MLB Network and all the things."
Well, yeah, because it's a 6:30 game on Saturday. I really don't know how the baseball schedule and like national schedule works, but like if that were to be cemented, they should find themselves on like the Fox Saturday night game. I mean, what are we doing if they're not? Like,
that's a good point.
That's just.
I mean,
but like even so, no matter who he faces in the Phillies rotation, it's a good matchup. Maybe with the exception of you don't know what version of Aaron Nola you're getting.
Right. Here's an interesting thing I just thought of. And this is completely random. We have not talked about this for people listening and watching.
Okay.
Do you think that if Paul Skeens ended up like having Zach Wheeler's career, would people say he overachieved, underachieved, properly achieved?
Wow.
It's a really interesting question.
Yeah. So I'm going to say properly achieved, and hear me out. Zach Wheeler was once like a top 5 prospect in baseball. Had a bunch of injury stuff. New York just wasn't the right fit. He's now the highest paid pitcher, like by AAV in baseball. And widely considered to be one of the most dominant pitchers in all of baseball. The only thing that has evaded, that has avoided him entirely, is a Cy Young in a World Series.
Yep.
But if let's say Paul Skeens, he's going to win multiple Cy Youngs. In my opinion, Zach Wheeler should already have one, if not two.
Yeah.
Since he's come to Philadelphia. I do think Wheels is going to end up with one. Hopefully ends up with a World Series. His career in Philly has put him on a path toward Cooperstown. Like he is now made the right-hand turn to being like considered to go to Cooperstown one day.
Mhm.
And I think like if that's Paul Skeens' career, Hall of Famer's pretty darn good, right? So I'm a little biased here. It's such a good question. I'd be curious to know what others think. But I think if you look at Wheeler right now, not the career arc, but where he is now.
Yeah, that's more what I was getting at. Like if he turns in when he's 30, whatever, if he's, still Zach Wheeler, it's just interesting.
Yeah.
You might
I do wonder what his stuff's going to look like as he ages. He's such a power guy. I gotta be honest with you, Regz. I haven't watched him enough to know like if he's the pitcher that Zach Wheeler is. Zach Wheeler has learned to be a pitcher.
Yes.
I feel like he is. Like I feel like everything I know about him, he's a pitcher, but I would have to watch him a little bit more.
Yeah. I think it just popped in my head, and it was interesting because I think you might get a fair amount of people saying that that's underachieving for Paul Skeens with where Wheeler is
maybe
right now. Like if you were to say, Skeens, and I know this is impossible or not, I'm sure he'll get some of these, but like no Cy Youngs and no World Series. I bet some people would answer that question that he underachieved. Which just speaks to the kind of prospect he is, right? And the pitcher
the hype,
and the pitcher he has been so far. He is not where he is now is not sustainable to be at when he's 33 or, it's just he just throws too damn hard, and the stuff, I mean, it can't be good for your arm for stuff to spin that much. Like it just can't be good for your arm when stuff looks the way it does. And look, it's disgusting. We are taking nothing away from Paul Skeens, the pitcher, right now. But if you want to have a long career, it's like you said, you got to learn to be a pitcher and know when to pick your spots and dial it up and all those things. Like Paul Skeens right now is like a freaking rocket ship. Like he's at 1,000 miles an hour right now.
Yeah.
And there's probably nothing slowing him down for several years. But if he makes it to the 6th inning, people are like, oh my God, what an outing by Paul Skeens. He made it to the 6th inning. So I just don't, he hasn't, look, he could find it in the next year or two and be devastating for the next decade plus, if he finds it. And eventually I'm sure he will. He's a good enough pitcher, and he seems to really care about like being really good. It'd be very interesting because I think you'd get a lot of mixed opinions, and I don't think many of them would go to the like overrated just because of Wheeler's lack of Cy Young and World Series at the moment. Like maybe if you say Justin Verlander, people would be like, okay, he overachieved to have that guy's career, because that's like a one in a million type of career that Justin Verlander's had. Just an interesting thought experiment there.
It really is. I enjoyed that. Thank you for that question. Real quickly, I pulled up his game log because I was curious what his innings have been like early on in this year. He, in every start he had in April, he went 6+ or 6 or more, I should say. March, his first start, he was 5 1/3, which makes sense coming out of spring. May so far, 5 innings, 6 innings. And I think that's what we've come to expect with Wheeler is like that dude's getting out there pretty much every 5th day and going 7 innings probably.
Yeah.
Like, even if he doesn't have his best stuff, he's probably getting through the 6th for you. But most nights he's giving you 7 and he's going to push himself into the 8th. I texted you tonight, right after he finished out the 7th, which he did with pretty relative ease, by the way.
Yeah.
And I was like, you bring him back out, like 93 pitches to face the bottom, and clearly Topper had a different idea. I'll be curious for your thoughts when we get to the Phils. I know we're here right now, but I'll be curious for your thoughts on the way the bullpen kind of rolled out tonight.
Yeah.
But we do have the other 2 teams we want to talk about here just briefly. We want to get with the Sixers, we want to get with the Eagles, and then we're going to jump to the Phils. So let's do that, and then we'll come back around. But I do want to start here with the Sixers, and you're probably, if you're sitting there listening to us on your way to work, you're like, wait, they still do that? They talk about the Sixers? Yes, we do. Reset time. We're not going to spend a ton of time here, but the Flyers just had their draft lottery last week, and I think they landed at like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And I texted a few people like,
terrible situation.
Yeah, I texted a bunch of people like, how do we feel about that? And they were like, not good, not good. So, we're hoping to avoid a similar situation. I don't think, obviously if they land outside the top 6, we don't feel good. If they land in the top 6, I do feel like this is a pretty good draft. Like, I feel like there are dudes in the top 10 abound that, can make a difference for this team. There's obviously one that we want more than any of the others, but certainly this top 5, 6, there are plenty of guys that can come and make an impact. So I just want to go through the odds real quickly, and we're not going to talk about any specific players. We'll save that for as we get closer to the draft. But for tonight, here are the odds. Regz had them ready for me earlier. Pick number 1 is 10.5%. Pick number 2 is 10.5%. Pick number 3 is 10.6%, which is odd. Pick number 4 is 10.5%. Pick number 5, 2.2%. And then pick 6 jumps to almost 20%, 19.6%. So that's where we're at. The lottery is tomorrow night. Is it pre-game or halftime of the first game? Do you know?
I do not know. I don't know. Let me look it up.
I feel like, or sometimes it's between games. I'm not quite sure. The NBA playoffs have been a little wild. I've actually watched a bit of this round, and there's been some wild games with like deficits being erased and all the
playoffs
chaos
have been
happening
crazy.
on the road. Yeah, I mean, Cleveland is about to go down 3-1 here, and we all thought they were going to be one of the.
Oh my God, the injuries though! Like, I can't believe the guys getting hurt on that team. It's such a shame with how they were so good.
Oh yeah,
like that. It's just all right. It says 7:00. I'm not sure if that's in between at halftime.
I can tell you
7 p.m. Eastern.
It's before Game 3 or Game 4, Boston, New York.
Okay,
because that game starts at 7:30.
Gotcha.
So, all right, sweet. So I'll tune into that, see where we're at, and I'll do a little reaction on the TikTok. I mean, people are going to be very confused.
This is the only thing. If it's higher than 6, it's one of the most devastating things possibly to happen for this franchise. Like, if we lose that pick, and don't have a first round pick after what this team did and what happened with this team, it's hyperbolic to say franchise changing, because you still have Tyrese Maxey, who's young and is obviously a very good player, but it's devastating to the next couple of years of this franchise. Like, it just has to be said. If it's it's devastating. I don't know a better word to explain it, but it's just one of the worst outcomes for this team, and might set them back years.
And that's not hyperbole.
No,
that's exactly what I was going to say. This is the type of draft that they can't miss out on. They're claiming to continue to keep this window open for themselves. I don't really understand like how it's still considered a window, but they're continuing to keep this open with Paul George and Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. So, they have Jared McCain. It looks like Kelly Oubre's coming back. They're going to fill out the roster with some youth from everything that Daryl Morey has talked about. They want to have youth behind these guys, so that's fine. I'm all for that approach. I feel like I've been asking for it for the last 3 or 4 years. But if they do miss, if they land at number 7 tomorrow night, I might rifle my remote through the window of the Hilton Garden Inn in Akron, because I don't know, or the Hampton Inn. Sorry, it's the Hampton Inn. I don't know what else this organization can put us through as a fan base. Like, we stopped talking about them because we were so angry.
Yeah.
And here we are just previewing the draft. Like, the lottery happens tomorrow. Jared McCain's there. Just please, can the odds be in our favor?
Yes.
Please. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking. All right. Well, we will follow up with a TikTok short tomorrow night after the balls are pulled. I'll have something on the Phillies too, but keep an eye out for the Sixers. We did have a video posted this week. If you haven't gone over there, go to the Phixated Pod on TikTok, where I drop something every few days with thoughts or recaps. But I dropped one on Dallas Goedert. You texted me when I was wrapping up a session in Massachusetts this week, and you're like, Dallas is back. And I was like, no, he's not. And sure enough, Dallas was back. And it's at a decent number when you look at it. They certainly got him at a number that I think they were more comfortable with. It's not, I think they would have preferred even lower, but 10 is fair. I got to be honest, Regz, looking at it, and he's got like $1 million in incentives that he can hit. Looking at it now, as much as we all were pushing the tight end in a draft narrative, maybe they were never going there. Like, I'm starting to get that idea that maybe they weren't ever going there. I look back at their list of visits. They had no tight ends in their top 30. They had every opportunity to take one when they took Makuba. There were 2 sitting on the board, and they passed off. So I'll get to my concern in this in a moment, but I want to start with why I'm happy, then I'll give it to you, and then I'll go to my concern. They're a much better team with Dallas Goedert on the field. No questions asked.
Yeah.
They are a better running offense. They're a better pass catching offense. They are more dynamic. He is so physical. So having him back, regardless of injury, is key. Now, he's playing on a 1-year deal, essentially. So he's going to want to be on the field. He will do his best to be on the field. He missed 4 games last year, which is actually not as many as we're used to Dallas Goedert missing. So I'm happy that he's back, because we were really getting ready to go into the regular season with a lot of question marks at that position. And now we at least know what we are getting from Dallas Goedert. It is Old Faithful. It is a good run blocker. It is a tremendous, your option number 3 can be option number 1 at any time. And just totally dynamic after the catch. So very thrilled about it. My immediate response was happy. I do have reservations just about this situation, but your initial thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's the best case scenario for an offense, like for a team and an offense that still wants to win a championship. It's like you said, you can't argue with the fact that the best outcome for the best offense that was available. Like, we can't like just say, oh, well, poof, they have Brock Bowers, right? We can't just like, we're not snapping our fingers and doing that. For what the situation was and what was available to the Eagles, this was the best possible solution for all the reasons you just stated. So not much to add in terms of that. I think I'm happy they were able to figure it out. Listen, we've seen it. Like, Dallas just watched it work out for a guy like Sweat. And I'm sure he'll be in the same mindset. Like, I'm in, this is it, right? I got to prove myself. He's on the older side of tight ends. If he wants to get paid, how we saw some other tight ends get paid, he's got to show that he can stay healthy and perform and, be that kind of guy. So hopefully you're just getting a motivated Dallas Goedert who's, back with a offense that he's comfortable with, that they're comfortable with him, that Jalen, which we're finding to be a bigger and bigger deal, he trusts Dallas Goedert. So yeah, I think just from a football, like Eagles putting the best team on the field, this was a huge win to get him back.
I do believe that their best foot forward as an offense this year is to throw the ball more. They're not going to be able to lean on Saquon
No.
like they did this past year. So they're going to have to take, the foot off the gas a little bit with Saquon and lean on Jalen a little bit more. And, Jalen hopefully playing with more confidence after the Super Bowl performance. And, hopefully they can unlock Jahan Dotson a little bit in that wide receiver 3 role and just give him some more, some more dynamics. But the Dallas Goedert thing just, helps him. It is a safety valve for him. Dallas has always been that. Here's my concern from a tight end perspective. They don't have a single tight end on a contract next year.
Yeah.
Not one. And now that isn't to say that bringing back, Calcaterra or one of the 2 that they brought in as 1-year deals this year won't happen. I don't think it will be very difficult to get 1 or even 2 of those guys back on like backup type contracts. Like Grant's, like I don't see that being a thing. But they're going to need a tight end 1, and they don't have the succession plan still.
Right.
This is we have become so used to and like John Dotson's going to be a free agent, so they only have a wide receiver 3 succession plan right now. So I do have a little bit of a fear of Dallas Goedert, on a 1-year deal from an Eagles long-term vision situation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any, like, he's not coming back after this year.
Yeah.
This is it. This is running it back one last time with Dallas Goedert.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. He's going to get a deal elsewhere, and we're going to have to accept that. But they don't have another guy waiting.
Right.
So either this is they're going to go out and make the trade next offseason, they're going to sign the free agent to play there next offseason, or they really like a tight end in next year's draft with one of their 13 freaking picks that they have sitting there. So that's my only concern. I don't have other concerns. I would have been more concerned if he wasn't back this year. And I don't want to fast forward to next year where that concern comes to life. But I think it's just something we have to have in our view right now. It's got to be something we can see through the dashboard at this point, because it's sitting, 1 season away that they don't have that weapon anymore, or any weapons under contract at that position, right? And again, they will, but it's just something to consider. There.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts from you?
No, I think it's definitely something that will be a talking point throughout the season. Even if Dallas misses a few games, you're going to hear about, well, what's the plan at tight end, right? Because now there's really, you're not going into next year with anybody at tight end that you feel great calling, a number 1 tight end, just like you said. So it'll be a thing throughout the season. And I think the thing that you can think about is with how Howie has handled tight ends in the past, and we know he thinks about everything, but like this has to be towards the top of the list at figuring out what to do about this.
Yeah.
And look, you never know. I mean, you're probably not trading tight end for tight end, so, a trade during the season probably isn't going to happen or anything like that. I'm sure it'll be a draft priority. You have to imagine with how they usually handle this position. But yeah, look, I'm just really hoping for like a healthy Dallas Goedert, and for this offense to, like you said, they can't lean on Saquon as much. That's all teams are going to be doing, is selling out to make sure that that guy does not do what he did to the league last year. So your passing offense is going to have to be more consistent. They're going to have to just, not have those stretches of weeks or quarters where they just don't exist.
Yeah.
And Dallas, helps you do that. Like having another guy you wouldn't be in the same place for success.
I do think contract year Dallas Goedert will be a fun watch.
Yeah, sure.
I have two questions that are not Dallas Goedert related, but I do want to ask about them before we move along. The first is, we have not talked about it on the show, but do you believe, and you don't have to, I'm actually going to ask you a percentage on this.
Okay.
Because we had the Sixers percentage here. So I'm going to lean into that. Percentage chance that the tush push is allowed next year.
Oh, that it's allowed.
That it's allowed. We could do, give me the percent that it's banned. Let's just do that.
Easy. 70.
Yeah, I'm actually up above 90 at this point. I don't think it's back.
I forget who said it. Somebody just flat out tweeted or said on a podcast, and it was one of the insiders, was just like, the reason that it's going to happen is because the commissioner doesn't like it.
Yeah.
And he's going to figure out how to get the votes he needs.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's super interesting that he didn't seem to mind it when the Eagles didn't get to the Super Bowl.
Right.
This didn't come up at all in 2024. So
I still don't know why it's a problem. If everybody can do it, how can you ban something? He said it was a rugby play.
He said it was a rugby play in an interview, which is, what we've been hearing from, sore ass teams for the last 5 years. Here's the funny thing, Regz. The Eagles will run the regular quarterback sneak and still get it like 75% of the time.
You know what also is a rugby play? A backwards pass. You haven't banned that yet. Yeah, what the hell's the difference?
It's the dumbest thing that I've ever freaking heard in my life. And also I can't wait for when they line up like Ty Robinson as a fullback and like just let him run through people in front of Saquon. That's, or like when the backfield is Ty Robinson, AJ Dillon, and Van Sumeren, just all lined up back there. Just let him roll. Let him roll. That's a whole lot of body back there.
Oh man.
And then people are going to be wishing the tush push was back.
Yeah.
At that point.
The rugby play thing is so stupid. It's so stupid.
The dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. The whole thing's dumb. It's just, it's nonsense. It's nonsense. All right. Here's my last question. The schedule is released on Wednesday. They said they're going to do some like releases throughout the week.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole schedule is released Wednesday. Who do the Eagles open with on that Thursday night game? Who's your prediction?
Oh, interesting.
I'll give you mine.
Zero thought into this.
All right. Well, I'll give you mine. You don't have to give thought. This is for, just to be fair, I didn't tell Regz I was asking this question. No. So it just kind of came to
I would have given you the same answer. I mean, like,
yeah, but you would have had a chance to look it up.
Yeah, maybe that's true. I think my only question was what, like, they're always assigned a conference that they're kind of playing outside of the NFC. So I wasn't sure who that was this year.
Well, they have the NFC North, I believe.
Okay.
So they get Detroit, the Bears, the Packers, and who am I missing from that conference? The Vikings.
All right, my guess is the Vikings then.
Okay. Interesting. I would love to open with JJ McCarthy in his first game. I would love that. I don't remember if that one's home or away. I actually think it's going to be the Bears.
Interesting.
I think it's going to be the Bears. I do. I think that's a young team that the NFL likes. They kind of featured them with like post draft
with Ben Johnson now, and
Yeah, I think that's either that or Detroit
Mm-hmm.
because of
I think Detroit's the chalk answer. I feel like
yeah,
Detroit's chalk.
yeah.
I feel like Chicago's a good one. Like you said, that's an interesting team that people are going to be extremely curious to see how that offense now works with Ben
Yeah.
Johnson. Yeah, that's probably I think that's a better choice than the Vikings. I didn't consider the JJ
I think
McCarthy thing.
they have to open at home, Regs. I'm pretty sure they have to open at home because of winning the Super Bowl. I think they get to open at home and raise the banner.
Okay.
So here are their home games. Obviously the 3 division games. I don't see them opening with a division rival. So Bears, Lions, Broncos, Rams, Raiders. I still think
Rams is a possibility.
Yeah, running back with Stafford and
that would have a lot of like national interest and storylines and stuff like that. I still think the Bears is a good choice. Again,
stick with that.
Lions is still a really good chalk choice.
It's chalk, yeah. And St. Brown was talking about it on his podcast too. Everybody thinks they can have a podcast now, Rex.
Everybody. Who do they think they are?
Yeah, I think they are. I don't know about it. All right. Well, that I'll also do an immediate reaction to the schedule when it's released on Wednesday. And our show on Thursday will pretty much entirely be about the Eagles schedule. We did a reaction show to it last year. I really enjoyed talking through it and just sort of navigating what that schedule looked like. So we'll do that again. But we are going to pivot here. We're going to end up talking about the baseball team. Just wrapped up a 6-game road trip that took them through Tampa and then up north to Cleveland. And Regz, it went well, my friend. It went well.
It did.
This was a good road trip. The Phillies have found a gear right now. They're playing really good baseball. That's a good Cleveland team that they just took 2 out of 3 from. A pesky Cleveland team with a really good bullpen out there. And we'll start in Tampa. I think a lot of good happened down there. Clearly the ball flies there. Phillies really found some offense playing down in Tampa against. But I also think it's important to say that Tampa's starting pitching is pretty darn good. Their bullpen stinks outside of Pete Fairbanks, but their starting pitching is actually really good overall. And the Phillies just pounded them.
Yeah.
They just pounded them down there. I don't know if there was anything specifically that stood out to you down there. I'll give you a couple of names that stood out to me for reasons. I'll say first and foremost, I need to mention Bryson Stott. I know he was struggling down there offensively. He didn't hit very well down there. But part of I was told once by a coach, because I hit either leadoff or second most of my life. And I remember a coach telling me that he didn't always care if I got on base. As long as I saw enough pitches, especially from the leadoff spot, as long as I saw enough pitches for the guys behind me to see enough pitches so that they were seeing what they throw in certain counts, they were able to see movement, they were able to see levels. And so the job of a leadoff hitter is not always just like, hey, you got to get on base and set the table. It's setting the table so that guys can see pitches before they even get in the box. And Bryson Stott, I think, was 0 for 5 in the first game or 0 for 4 in the first game. Yeah. But he saw like 26, 27 pitches. I texted you that, and then he immediately struck out on pitches in the second game.
Yeah.
So that was funny.
Yeah.
But I wanted to highlight him. I wanted to highlight Trey Turner, who has been phenomenal. I know tonight wasn't great for Trey, but he had multi-hit games in 8 of his last 9, which is just an insane number. And I do want to shout out another guy who's a little off the beaten path, but I want to shout out Taijuan Walker. first performance out of the bullpen. I think it was game 1 in Tampa. He was fantastic in that 3-inning save. The velocity was almost 95. I'm really curious to see what a Taijuan Walker bullpen experience is like if Topper just tells him to take the cap off. And with 5 pitches, he got sinker, 4-seamer, slider, cutter, split. He could knock off 2 of those pitches and be super effective. I'm kind of excited to see what that is. But from that series, also for Bryson Stott, the 3-run home run in the comeback win and the bunt in extra innings to get Marsh to third. I've said it to you before. I don't know that I've said it on the show, but Bryson Stott is the smartest player on that team. I don't think the bar is always very high. They don't all have very great baseball IQs, but his is off the charts good. He's just really good at everything. He's really good at everything.
Yeah.
And it showed out a lot in the Tampa series, Regz.
Yeah. I think my biggest thing was, it was great to see the offense sort of continue to score runs. It was great to see them. I think it was great to see them do it with not a fantastic Bryce and Kyle series. Yeah. Tampa specifically. Those two were pretty bad in those 3 games. They were pretty bad. And it was, like you said, it wasn't necessarily Bryson hitting. That 3-run homer obviously is the single thing that woke them up and gave them the ability to even think about winning that game. But Trey, again, I think we looked at that tweet a week or 2 ago where when Trey has multiple hits in a game, the Phillies win 70% of the games that they've played in, that he's done that in.
Yeah.
So, like you said, when you translate that back to 8 of the last however many games he's had, multi-hit games, you see why they're winning so much. It was another 6-game stretch where the starters did their jobs. No one had a huge blow up. Right? Could you nitpick? Luzardo wasn't crazy efficient in his game. Was what it was. Ranger
Nola wasn't great.
Yeah, Nola wasn't fantastic. But kind of like you said, Monday was one of those games. You text me just be prepared. They didn't get in till 3 a.m. This is going to be a tough one.
I texted Regz on Thursday night after they finished off that extra inning comeback win.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to get out in front of this.
Yeah.
Just be ready for them to sleepwalk through tomorrow.
Yep.
I'm not going to get to Cleveland until 3 a.m. So, and they did. They sleptwalked through Friday night.
Yes. But generally, starting pitching was good. I think unless I'm really forgetting something crazy, generally the bullpen was good.
They were very good.
Yeah, there wasn't any I don't know why I'm blanking on this, but I'm not remembering anything crazy. And I think it was just the ability. I know I'm rambling here, but I think the ability for them to. I think that the biggest things for me was especially in this Cleveland series, that huge 8th inning, right, with the 6 runs the other night.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Kyle giving them more insurance runs as their only offensive weapon tonight. But look, he did what he had to do. That's the kind of stuff that shows you want to be a winning team. Yes, they only had 2 hits up until that inning the other night. But turned it on. Just was we're not just going to whimper out of this one. We're not going to do it. Same with the comeback, on Thursday, like you said. We're not just going to whimper out of this one. And we know what this team looks like when they do that. We know what the at-bats look like when they get to the 6th inning and they're just yeah, this one's done. We're just done with this one. We're all just going to go up there, swing at everything we see, and, that'll be that. We'll just go home. And I think, and we've talked about this a bunch, and I'm just going to keep talking about it until they win a World Series, and then I'll shut up and never speak of it again. But I just want this team so badly to go into every night just like with that unbelievable desire to beat the other team. Like, look, it's not going to happen some nights, right? It's baseball. It's 162 games. It's just not going to happen some nights. But the lack of effort and like the getting to the 6 with 2 hits and just being like, well, this one's over. It's like, no, like maybe it just turns into a 5-3 game instead of a 5-0 game. But like, don't give up. Don't stop trying just because you're like, whatever. So I'm excited to hopefully see that continue. Like, that's the stuff. Who cares? Like, it's 1 inning. You went into 1 inning and turned that game completely on its head last night. It's stuff like that I'm excited to hopefully keep seeing. And now that this team, like now that they've done it a few times, I'm hoping they're like back into that mode of like, all right, we don't go down. We're not like giving teams easy wins on us.
No, that started last Sunday. That started last Sunday. With the Diamondbacks.
Yep.
Coming all the way back. I know they lost the game, but my thing to you immediately afterward was 2 weeks ago they lose that game 7-1 or worse. And they fought. The one thing that I do want to mention bullpen wise from this road trip happened on Thursday night. And I don't necessarily blame the guy. This is a Topper thing to me. So remember, Luzardo had to be pulled with runners on the bases. They brought in Hernandez. He got 2 strikeouts.
Yeah.
Got out of the inning. They brought in Tanner Banks.
Mm-hmm.
And in a 2-1 game. And let him pitch to Yonder Diaz.
Yeah.
And like that made no sense to me.
Literally the only guy on that team that you're afraid of. Like he's the he's the only hitter.
He's not even a dude who hits lefties the way he used to, but
right.
It's still like that situation where I'm sitting there and I'm like, why is he still in the game? Like he clearly didn't have it. So I wasn't quite sure why he was in the game. That one was confusing to me. Alvarado was good. Romano was good. Strahm was good that night. But and Hernandez, but Banks just couldn't get any outs.
Topper has this weird thing where he tries to steal these innings.
Mm-hmm.
Like and look, every manager does this. We're not like singling out Topper for something that's unique to him. But just because we watch so much of this one team, we're very aware of it. But he does have these times where he's like, I wonder if this will work out. And I really don't think the thought process goes beyond, this is a way to steal an inning that I don't have to use one of my important guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's it. I think that's as far as the thought process gets. It doesn't get to, like, matchups with Tanner Banks against those hitters. It doesn't get to, we see this, and, Tanner has this thing against these guys. It's like, can I steal an inning that I don't have to use one of my leverage guys?
And also, in a series you've already won.
Yes.
In a series you've already won. Like, that to me was, like, Rob, Fransky was talking about it on the radio with Stock. They were talking about how Rob has the math all figured out. Like, Rob knows how many series they have to win throughout the year to get to 90 wins. And if you get to 90 wins, you're probably in the playoffs in this National League. So, to him, they won another series. And he was going to be okay with that. And I know a lot of people want the sweep when they win the first 2. I'm in another like department of belief on that. It's really hard to sweep. And I think that they're comfortable with winning 2 out of 3. This was their 5th straight series win tonight against the Guardians. 5th straight. First time the franchise has done that since 2023. They are 9-3-1 in series played this year. Best of any National League team. So they've lost series only to the Braves, the Mets, and I'm trying to remember the third team. The Cardinals in St. Louis. That
Oh
was the
yeah.
third team. And they split with San Francisco. They have won every other series. That includes the Dodgers. That includes the Cubs on the road. That includes the Cleveland Guardians on the road, who hadn't lost a series at home this year. So it's there's good stuff happening right now with this team. Really good stuff happening with this team. And I do want to I there's a guy I want to talk about, but I do want to go through some apologies. And listen, Regs, I'm a pretty proud guy. I don't think I'm gonna fool many people here. I'm a proud guy. I will apologize when I have, the need to. I feel like you are the same as I in that sense. If we mess up, we'll say we're sorry. But there are 6 guys I have here that we have talked pretty negatively about at some point. And I want to know if you believe it's time to apologize yet, or if they still need to give us a little more, let those 2 words fall out of our mouths so eloquently. So let me start with numero uno. This is a guy we got on pretty much the moment he was brought to Philadelphia. Are you ready? And has he earned an apology, Max Kepler?
This one's interesting. I feel like listen, you tell me if I'm way off base here. I feel like we were more judgmental of just like, why get a left-handed hitter who's never played left field before, as opposed to anything else. I think if it had been, and like, just name any other left-hitting right fielder that we were now going to tell they have to play left field and they only hit left-handed, I feel like we would have been the same. I mean, outside of like Juan Soto, right? Who is obviously a lefty, or Kyle Tucker, or like
Kyle Tucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So look, there's obviously a tier here that we wouldn't complain about no matter what. But I'm talking about the Max Kepler type guys.
Yeah.
I feel like we would have been on anybody. So I don't know if we were that hard on like Kepler was just the name we had. Maybe I'm trying to like justify what we did.
I think you need to go back and listen to our response.
Yeah,
Max
maybe
Kepler.
I do.
Yeah, we were not very kind.
Blocked it out of my mind.
I will tell you this. I did come back on, not immediately, but over the course of the next couple weeks after recording that episode. and I said I'm not worried about the move to, and I'm still not. He's been awesome out there.
Yes.
He has been awesome out there. I'm not ready to apologize to him yet because I still think he has not hit well with runners in scoring position.
Yeah.
He got a big hit last night with runners in scoring position and against the lefty, which is good. But it hasn't been consistent enough for me to be like, Max, I'm sorry. I like the guy. I think he seems like a really good dude.
Yes.
Seems like he works hard. He plays really hard. Seems like a good teammate. But I'm not ready to come out and say, hey, Max, you totally proved me wrong. He's been fine. He has been fine. He's absolutely been better than the part of this fan base that is still living and dying every day by saying Dave Dombrowski has not done enough.
Yeah.
Because Max has been more than capable out there. It's better than watching Jake Cave play left field
that's true.
every freaking day.
Yeah.
So I'm not like quite ready to be like, oh, Max, 100% prove me wrong. But I'm also not like, I'm also not totally against the guy either. Like, I think he's done enough to make me at least, smile when he comes up.
I think,
be like, all right, Max has a chance.
That's why I waffled, because I'm right in the middle. Like, I don't think he's earned it all the way yet, but I certainly don't think, it's like you said, he's been fine.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the next spot on the field. Since coming back from Lehigh Valley, there's a gentleman on this team that has been pretty darn good in a small sample size, I will say. Brandon Marsh in May, 467 batting average, 3 RBI, 3 doubles, 3 runs scored, a 1167 OPS. Are we ready to apologize to Brandon Marsh for basically saying we need a new center fielder?
No, I'm not ready to apologize. The
All right,
sample
that's
size
fair.
is not large enough.
All right. No, I can agree with that.
Am I happy
I will
for
say
him
the
that he's-
swing has looked a lot better.
Am I very happy that he doesn't look like he looked in the beginning of the season? Of course I am. Because I think we both like Brandon Marsh.
We do. We've said that. Yeah, for sure.
But no, he has not earned a full apology.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm not ready yet either. It's a small sample. All right. I'm so excited for this one, just for the reaction. This is more specific to you, by the way.
Yeah.
In May, this man is hitting 286. He's actually hitting 290 overall. He has homered twice, I believe now. Was like 5th on the team in runs batted in. Has 2 in the month of May, but he's in a true platoon. Triple, 3 runs scored, 804 OPS. And settling in defensively, made a great play tonight. Are you ready to apologize to Johan Rojas for the way that you treated him?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
All right. Well, I don't have to apologize to you. So that's a specific Regz question. There's a specific Azzy one.
All
right.
It would take quite a bit.
All right. I think I'm gonna stand on Johan Rojas. I think he's been far better than he has been not over the course of the last. So when Brandon went down, he had his gaffes. Don't get me wrong, and he does dumb things, but he's also been very playable in center field, and he's been very playable as a 9-hitter on a team that has a bunch of dudes that can hit. So I'm a stand for him. I get it. You don't have to apologize to him yet, but this is the exercise.
That's right.
I just want to do a temperature check. All right, temperature check. I'll go first on this one. He's not my guy. I'm gonna save him for temperature check on Alec Boehm. Are we ready to apologize to Alec Boehm, who had a pretty decent road trip? I think he was like 7 for 18 or something like that. Defense continues to be fine. I think he's up to almost 250 for the season, which is unreal considering where he was. I'm not there yet. I'm not ready to say, Alec, I'm groveling on my hands and knees for your forgiveness. I still need more power from my 6'5", 250-pound third baseman. Like, hit me a freaking home run, man. Turn on a baseball.
That's where I'm going. I'm not like, it might take me till 20 home runs to apologize fully to Alec Boehm.
Oh, you're not getting that.
I know, but like, that's what I don't feel like I need to apologize until he shows me anything that resembles like finding gaps and hitting balls hard instead of just shooting everything into the first and second base gap. Just something, bud. I need something that resembles hitting, and hitting balls hard.
I was gonna say, I need something that represents power. I need some sort of power, any sort of freaking power. I judging by my math, he is gonna hit 4 home runs this year.
Holy moly!
Right, he is 1 in 40.
Terrible.
He is 1 in 40 games. He's on pace for 4 home runs.
I say this completely facetiously. I might be able to do that.
Okay. Yeah, I got you.
I admitted it before I said it. I know it's not a real statement.
You said facetiously. I know. It would take me easily. Regz, I wouldn't even be able to do it in batting practice at a major league stadium. I wouldn't be able to do it in batting practice.
I don't believe that.
But for like, and here's the thing about Bohm. This isn't like a Bryce where like Bryce can go into a power drought and then pop 10 in like 15 games.
Right.
That is not something Alec Bohm will do.
No.
Like Alec Bohm's a 15 home run, 20 home run guy at best. And those are usually spread out. It just feels like there's no power at all in the bat. So he's on pace for 4 home runs. That's why he's going to stick at the bottom of the order. All right. So we are not we are 0 for 4. No one's getting the apology quite yet. Now this one, I don't know as much us. Definitely not your boy over here, but I don't really remember you going too crazy on this guy either. This is more for the fan base. It's more does the fan base owe this guy an apology? Jordan Romano. I'll be honest. I've been saying for weeks that I've got stock. I'm ready to say the fan base needs to apologize to him because I'm gonna go back to without the blow up in the Marlins game. That ERA is probably I haven't done it in a while. I'll pull it back up here in a minute when you start talking about him. I want to pull that game out. A game they still won, a game that they realized he was tipping pitches. And since that game, he's been more than okay. I mean, tonight he looked awesome.
Oh my goodness.
Tonight,
yeah.
The slider he threw to that first dude was awesome to get him. But then even more so. And this is what I want people to like think about because I don't think people realize if it's not a swing and miss. Getting Jose Ramirez to flail at a slider.
Yeah.
That far out in front and hit a little like that dude doesn't hit balls softly.
No, he's so good.
Everything he hits is barreled.
Yeah, he's so good.
That's a great sign, man. That's a great sign. So where are you at? Mine is a yes.
I feel like from a fan base perspective, yes. I feel like you and I haven't been that hard on him. So I feel
that's
like
what I mean.
Yeah, from our perspective, it's probably a no because we haven't been that harsh on him. From a fan base perspective, I think like you just saw it. He just faced the heart of the Indians order and put him down 1-2-3 in a 3-run game, which the Indians are completely capable of putting together as a baseball team. And he made the first dude look silly. He made, like you said, Jose Ramirez loop out to Bryson Stott at second base. And then, God, was that umpire bad tonight? Goodness gracious.
Alan Porter didn't have a great night. I typically like Alan Porter. I don't know what was going on.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah. It wasn't good.
Got a call against Santana. But I think, like you said, the stuff was there for sure. So, like, that's the guy the Phillies, like, when they, signed him, we're like, that's the dude who we expect to be getting. So yeah, I'm with you. I think solely based on this podcast, we owe him no apology because we've been with Jordan the entire time. Just to state that for the record. But as a fan base, you need to chill, guys. You need to chill. Like, go look at Jeff Hoffman's last six or seven games.
Exactly. So his ERA without that start would be just under 6, or without that 2/3 of an inning, be just under 6. So again, and that's with like the month of the beginning of April. So this is interesting, right? His first outing in March, he gave up 2 runs. Okay. Then in April, he gave up 5 in the first week. Since then, all right, again, I want to eliminate that April 19th. I know technically you can't, but I just, for context.
Yeah.
Since April 6th, okay, eliminating that game, he has only allowed 2 earned runs in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 appearances. 2 earned over 10 appearances since April the 6th. If we go from that outing on April 19th, he's allowed 1 run in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 outings, 7 appearances, 1 run over 7 appearances. And in those appearances, 6 and 2/3 innings, 1 run over 6 and 2/3 innings.
You know who you wish had that? Orion Kirkland.
Who? Yeah.
Like those are the
that's-
stats you wish Orion could have. And I think if you polled
Yeah.
most regular fans, they'd rather see Orion in an inning than Romano.
I mean, I don't care who I see as long as they're getting, you know, that stat I just gave you is good for a 1.45 ERA.
Yeah.
Like that over the course of that time. And even like base runner wise, since that outing, again, I want to go back to that outing. I think that's a 2 hits. I'm trying to find walks here too. 2 hits and a walk. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 base runners since April 19th. 7 base runners in 7 outings. So his whip's right at 1.
Yep.
Like he's been effective.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, I think it's interesting they gave him the 9th because I didn't see that coming. Part of me thinks they wanted Alvarez. Because Kwan's just so annoying.
Yeah.
And you really don't want it. You know, at that point, it's a 1.
Yeah. Was it 891
So you-
that 891 that Alvy had? Yeah.
Yeah, and so they already got him up.
Yeah.
And I think that the plan was, let's make sure we get to the 9th with a lead.
Yeah.
And not let Kwan get on base.
Right. And then let those guys start. Yep.
Yeah. So I think that was probably the plan. And get Kwan out because you don't want him leading off. Like just get him out. You don't want him on base at all. When he gets on base, it's a whole nother thing. All right. Last ones for me, and then I want to talk about another guy, then we're wrapped. Again, for me more than you, because a couple of weeks ago I came on here and just lambasted this dude. And since then, he has totally turned his season around in every way imaginable. Trey Turner has been unbelievable for like the last 15 games. Basically since I came on here 2 weeks and told him to start acting like a $300 million player. He started acting like a $300 million player. So Trey, thanks for listening to the podcast.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
I'm really, really sorry that I spoke of you in such a negative light. Look, it's necessary sometimes to say that you're wrong. And I was wrong. That doesn't mean that you said it beautifully earlier. Baseball's so interesting. Kyle Schwarber said after the game tonight, like, you can do everything right and not get a hit. You can do everything wrong and get a hit. But what Trey's doing right now is this is what we signed up for. Tonight wasn't great by any means. I do think Trey was a little frustrated with the stuff going on behind the plate with Alan Porter. I think he just could not figure out the zone at all. And for a guy who does chase, that
then he's up there
even more.
He's just swinging at everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was taking everything.
Well, he just didn't have a sense of like what was going to be what.
But you know, I said earlier, multi-hit games in 8 of his last 9.
Yeah.
That's an obscene stat in Major League Baseball. Like, it's so hard to hit in Major League Baseball. And this dude's just getting, he's getting, 2 hits a night. I think it's important to acknowledge just how good Trey Turner has been. And so I wanted to make sure that I said it. The Phillies have played 40 games now. In the last 19, now this was coming into tonight, so this has changed. So in the 19 coming into tonight, Trey Turner has hit .402 and scored 15 runs. He has more multi-hit games than non-multi-hit games since April 19th. This was going into the game on May 11th. It's almost a full month that he had more multi-hit games than non-multi-hit games. He's up to 318, third in the National League. Now this is the good Trey. We know we're gonna hit another stretch where Trey's gonna piss us off.
Yeah.
But I need you to remind me of this situation.
Yeah.
So
I,
Trey has an apology.
yeah. I just want to say one thing. I
Yeah.
want to be very clear. I want to take nothing away from the approach that Trey has clearly bought into to be the kind of hitter that I think this offense needs. They need their 1 and 2 hitters to just get on. Like they say, by hook or by crook, get on base for the big boys coming up. That's your job. He has bought into that approach, and it's obviously been working. I am hoping, and I want to be very clear that this is not a criticism. My hope is that he starts to figure out how to do a little bit more damage on those balls in the strike zone. He's been a little beaten to the groundy on like hittable pitches, and I think it's on purpose. I think he's trying to let balls travel more, and I think that's leading to more ground balls. Like, look, he's finding holes. He's like hitting bloop singles. He's doing all the stuff that we've been dying. Like, just get on base, man. Just get on base. So I completely understand it, and I don't want to in any way criticize him taking that approach, because I think it was a necessary reset for whatever mindset he got into last season, with everything had to be like pop-ups. And I think he couldn't get out of his own way with trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark. And it just led to terrible, like just not good at bats.
Yeah.
So I really hope that this now is sort of the foundation he's laying that leads us into doubles Trey Turner. Like that guy who is just slinging line drives all over the field, like doing damage on those pitches that are left over the plate, jumping on some balls on the inside corner and, putting them into left field, even if it's just in a gap or down the line or whatever it is.
Right.
I'm just hopeful that it leads to that, because I think, like you just talked about how good the Phillies are when he just gets on base like twice. When he's just on base or gets multiple hits, they're so good. I think to win a World Series, we need that next guy. We need that guy who's slinging line drives all over the place, who's getting into scoring position by himself and scoring the guys that are on base in front of him. All those things. I think that guy wins us a World Series. And I so want to preface this by saying I love what he's doing, because I think it was absolutely necessary to reset his brain and get him back to this guy. I'm hoping we're slowly creeping up that mountain to that guy we watched, like just sling line drives all over the field. And just, he's like, well, he's on second now again. And that's what you had to deal with all the time.
That'll come. I believe it'll come. I do think right now it is a reset. I think you said that beautiful, Trey. I mean, it's all about bat to ball and his timing. And right now with the toe tap, we're seeing a lot more contact, so much less in terms. I know he struck out 3 times tonight. So much less in the strikeout department than what we've seen in years past. Even when he was going well, in years past, it felt like he was striking out when he made outs. And right now, that's not the way it feels. And this is what I prefer from Trey. I do think the power will come. I think we're probably getting 12 to 15 home run Trey.
Oh yeah,
which is more.
I want to be very clear.
Okay.
I'm not worried about home runs. I'm talking about doubles. And
you're talking gap to gap doubles.
Yep.
I get that. I'm just naming that. I think we're probably going to see 12 to 15 home run Trey, but we're not going to see 12 to 15 home Kyle, because Kyle's already got 14.
He's already.
He is tied for the major league lead. This is where I want to end. I'm going to use it partly a fixated here, but I do want your thoughts when I'm thinking. I don't want to live in a world where Kyle Schwarber is not wearing a Phillies uniform. I said to Andrea tonight that I want to wake up every morning knowing that Kyle Schwarber is a Philly. He's become one of the best hitters in Major League Baseball. And I don't just mean power hitters. I mean, that's clear. But hitters, like the dude is one of the best hitters. And I don't know what the holdup is on a deal. He has been so clear that he's very open to coming back. Like, he's made it no secret that he's open and is open for business right now. I'm going to refer to the PHLY Eagles podcast here for a moment, because these two talk about, in-season stuff with Howie quite often.
Mm-hmm.
And, they talk about how Howie doesn't love doing business during the season because you have so many free agents in the locker room.
Yeah.
And, you don't want to show your hand or make one guy. It's like the whole Bond thing. Like, he didn't sign him during the regular season because, Josh Sweat is over there and
Right.
Williams is over there. My only thought here, Regz, is, are they worried about JT's reaction? Are they worried about Rangers' reaction? Because I can't imagine they're sitting in their boxes like, oh, good, another 2 home run game. Oh, good, another bomb in a moment we need it. There's another 0.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what we're waiting, unless we're missing something. But Kyle clearly loves it in Philadelphia. He clearly loves the guys he plays with. Clearly loves this fan base. That's my only conceivable thought as to why we have not gotten something done with Kyle Schwarber. And they have to. Like, this guy can't get to free agency. This is not like it's Kyle Tucker and everybody else. Like, Kyle is next on that list. There are going to be a lot of teams wanting Kyle Schwarber's services. I'm not interested in trying to figure out what we got to pay to keep him once he hits the market. Just figure it out and bring him back. And if I got to deal with some jabroni catching next year because JT's butthurt about it, then so be it. Like, I don't know that I really mean that, actually. I really love JT. I know he's frustrating offensively, but like, this guy defensively is so freaking good. I take that back. In a show full of apologies, JT, I apologize, buddy. But I guess what I'm saying is, we're adults, right? Like, I've watched people get promotions and get jobs before I got them, and like, have success. Like,
yeah,
like that can't, like, I'm not crazy. That cannot be the reason. There's got to be something else that we're not aware of. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you call yourself like a professional athlete and have that be something that you like that becomes detrimental to your performance.
Yeah, I especially don't see it with JT.
Or your ability as like a teammate, because you don't think that would get out to people. Like, you don't think that would get out to every other team that is looking at you?
I don't see that with JT.
No. I get what you're saying. I just mean,
yeah,
that's sort of why I don't think that could be what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we have to be open to the possibility that his agents are like, dude, you're going to get paid so much money.
Yeah.
Like, it's not worth it to do something right now, because even if you just sniff free agency, they're going to have to pay you so much more than they want to. So look, we can't be naive to the possibility that that's what's happening. And whereas we don't feel like Kyle is that guy.
Yeah.
Which I agree, but there has to be a but. These guys, like, I think is a 30 whatever DH who can play the field, I guess if you call it that, you're looking like to get paid very handsomely and live a pretty comfortable life. Like not putting your body under that much stress, focusing on hitting what you love to do. Like, so I only say that to say it can't, you can't overlook that as a possibility.
100%.
That's it. I'm not saying that Kyle's that guy, blah, 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 blah.
No. I don't know. I watched because that same conversation you just mentioned about Kyle Schwarber and his agents. There's just in my head, that same conversation happened with Zach Weaver and his agents.
Right.
But yet Zach signed. He signed. Now I know what he signed for. It's enormous.
Yes.
Right. I'm just, there's so much of me that's like, Kyle, you love it here. You want to be here. They'll give you what you want. They're going to give you they're going to give you Jeff Passan's article this week to me was very fair. Like the 4 for like 115, 120, like that seems fair to me. I think I saw 4 for 100. That seems aggressive, or that seems low. For what Kyle provides. I know he doesn't play defense, but my goodness, he's on pace for 58 home runs this year. That's just that's absurd.
Yeah.
So I'm just stuck, man, because I really want Kyle to be a Philly for good.
Here's my final thought about this. If, and I'm talking to you, John Middleton, if you're being honest with us that your goal is to keep this team a World Series contending team for as long as possible, you don't let Kyle Schwarber go.
Yeah.
And that's it for me. That's where that's the line.
Yeah.
If you are honest about, because let's talk about the free agents, right? Like you said, JT, Ranger, Nick, right? Is Nick?
No.
Nick's got one more. Okay. So not Nick. Is it just those three who are
Romano, Kepler?
Gotcha. All the 1 year guys.
Yeah.
Who's earned it more?
I mean, out of that
on
group,
that list?
It's Kyle.
Exactly. And I think
Kyle and I think it's like Kyle and then like Ranger here and then
yes.
I mean, JT needs to be in there because just defensively what he gives you. It's
Right.
almost like the antithesis of Kyle. Like Kyle gives you so much offensive and nothing literally nothing.
Literally nothing.
Even when he's out there, he's not giving you anything.
Yeah.
But
I think
JT gives you so much defensively.
But you know what that doesn't earn you? Top of the market dollars. Just being a really good defensive catcher.
Yeah.
Just being a really good defensive catcher doesn't earn you top of the market dollars.
Right.
So the one guy out of that list who, if he gets the free agency, is getting top of the market dollars and who you could potentially sign for slightly under that, let's just say slightly under, is Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah.
I don't think the market for JT, like we're not talking about the same thing here. Like with the market for Kyle compared to what the market for JT is going to be. I think you're very much more comfortable being like one of those football things. You go see what you can get and come let us know. And we'll go from there with JT.
Yeah.
Kyle is not that. It's like you just said. There's Kyle Tucker, and then there might not be anybody else next except Kyle Schwarber.
It's Tucker and Schwarber. Like that's
so that's what we're talking about here. That's the comparison we're making. And if you can in any way get him to sign for a reasonable number now and not have to have that happen, it can only benefit you. It can only benefit you. And then look, let's be honest. You have Nick coming off the books in a year.
Yep.
So like there's offsetting things that are going to happen here.
And Alec.
And you've got probably Crawford coming up. So then it's shifting somebody to right field.
And Aiden Miller.
Yep. So like you see this becoming a little bit more digestible, I guess, if you want to use that word.
Yeah. Painter replaces Rangers,
Yes.
$16 million.
Yes.
So,
And
yeah,
so
all
like
that stuff is there.
yeah, but no one else like it's going to hurt real bad if you let that guy get to free agency and you have to start matching numbers with teams. It's going to hurt.
It's just
It's going to
a
hurt.
nightmare.
Yep.
It's a nightmare. And don't give me the hometown discount.
No.
If he gets out there and sees those numbers, he ain't giving you a hometown. Hey, this contract is what he's playing on right now. What he does for this team is hilarious. 4 years, $78 million contract for what he does.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Get out of here. Like, I don't know. We're just keeping our fingers crossed. Kyle, we love you. If you're listening,
Please stay. Please.
So freaking much. We love you. All right. That was fun.
It was great.
We will be back on Thursday. Make sure that you check out that show. We'll do a recap of the Cardinals series. We'll talk about the coming weekend with the Pirates, and we will make sure that we spend plenty of time breaking down the schedule. Typically doing our typical thing around, what that looks like and games that concern us, stretches that concern us, the whole nine. So we'll be back on Thursday. Until then, if you haven't already done so, click subscribe here on the YouTube channel. Make sure you head on over to wherever you get your podcasts and make sure you follow, rate, subscribe, do all those things. Jump on the social media at the Mic Drop 5 at Regz with a Z, and head on over to Facebook at the Phixated fan page there, TikTok at the Phixated Pod, and Instagram at the Phixated Podcast. Oh, there's a mouthful. Merchandise in the show description. We added TikTok and Instagram.
That's right.
I can't keep it going. But we will be back again on Thursday. Until then, be kind to yourselves. Be kind to make sure that you tell someone you love them, especially if you haven't already done so. And we will talk to you soon. Until then, Kyle, we love you, buddy.
Please stay with us, Kyle.
Oh, my God. Deep to right field. Way up there and way out of here.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.